Hey guys, how y'all doing? I'm sorry I don't look nice. I didn't shave. I just got back from seeing Paranorman, and before I actually talk about it, let me apologize. This isn't scripted. This is just my thoughts. I'm racing. My thoughts are just all over the place. I feel like it would have been better for me to just geek out about this movie because I thoroughly enjoyed it. This is probably one of my favorite animated films to come out this year. So the story itself, it's about a boy who can talk to the dead, and there's a curse on the town, and it's his job to, you know, rescue people, while at the same time people have a stigma against the fact that he sees the dead and he can't prove it. That thing right there, the fact that the town can't believe him, is exactly what makes this film really great. For people that's put this in the horror genre, I'm a little hesitant about that. I would say that this is more of a satire than it is a full-out horror film. I'd say one jump scare in the film, and it wasn't even that much of a jump scare. There wasn't anything that's there to just scare you, but it does put you in the atmosphere, and usually a good satire and indulges itself into what it's parodying or satiring, and I think it did a pretty good job in that aspect. It's really a coming-of-age story, something most kids and adults can relate to as well. I'm not going to spoil anything, but the thing in the film is that there's no bad guy. There never really is a bad guy in life. Usually what we have to overcome as adults and as children, is something we know, is that there are good people that can easily be bad, and that there are bad people that can still have good in them. And I feel like the characters in this film are just so surprisingly relatable in that aspect and just engaging. There was never... Okay, as far as the flaws in this film go, I would say that the voice acting, there was a disconnection between the voice acting. Like, Jeff Garlin's character, I felt like he was like one hair away from being an abusive father, but Jeff Garlin didn't really portray the character like that in order to make him like that. I think the only character, as far as voice acting goes, that I think was perfect was the character that played Norman's not-so-best friend, the fat kid. I don't know who he is, but I think he did a really good job playing that character. Just very unconventional at times. I feel like there are things in this film that would not have passed in any regular film. Like, this is a very unconventional animated film. There were things in this film that I felt like... this wasn't made for kids in mind. This was made by adults who love a medium, animators who love a medium, and just wanted to satire it, satirize it. And if you want to go see a kids film for your kids, you want to see an animated film that's just made for kids, go watch Ice Age 6, or take your kids to see Brave. By God, this is what I wanted Brave to be like. This was the type of movie I expected Brave to be like, something mature. Okay, some aspects, it's not like, you could just put zombies in it and have characters say ass in a PG film, or, have sexual overtones in the film in order to make it mature. But I feel like it tried, and we don't see that enough in the medium, and I think Paranorman did a really good job in that. The voice acting could have needed a little bit more work, but I felt like at the root of it all, the message, the moral is what mattered. And I felt like it did a great job getting that across. So would I recommend this film for family? I'd say this is more for older kids like my age surprisingly, I would recommend college, high school kids to watch this film. I feel like it's a send-up to a lot of the horror franchises. And, I really, really liked this film, and I kind of wish more animated films would take more risks like this. I feel like the Leica, the Cosmonaut Dog studio, is doing things, taking risks, and making films that they like. Films that are relatively self-contained. Like, I feel like they don't follow the conventions of most regular animated films. Like, it isn't made for the kids just in mind. Like, you don't always hear the soundtrack always swelling when it needlessly needs to swell up. I feel like there are silent moments in this film. Like, when the soundtrack is not needed, they would just cut out the soundtrack. And Wow. This is easily one of my favorite animated films this year. Is it one of my favorite summer movies? Well, we have yet to find out. I mean, I'm going to be putting up a top 5 films that came out this summer. But as far as all the points I think this film did well, I think the animation was swell. Just, this is something in stop motion animation. There's a technique called the smear that's done in hand-drawn animation that you rarely see done because it's hard to get a model to do a smear look. There was a character that they used the smear in a sculpture, and it showed, and it just worked really well to the aesthetic. As far as animated films goes, this is the first time in an animated film this year where I laughed really hard, like big belly laughs in this film. As far as the satire goes, I think it had some really good laughs. One jump scare, and I cried. The conclusion to this film is just so worth it. Just the fact that it kind of moved me. And it had a conclusion that I didn't see coming. I mean, there are times in this film where it does seem to be pretty predictable. If you're following along, you could tell what's going on, but all that mattered was the payoff. And I felt like the payoff to this was just worth it. Easily one of my favorite animated films. Easily one of my favorite films this year. Go check it out. I mean, I think the younger kids are going to a little turn it off by the fact that it's a little mean-spirited. I mean, okay, I take that back. The movie's very mean-spirited, and it's very abrasive in its message. Some films need to be. I feel like you can't sugarcoat things like in Brave. You can't make it all sweet and mellow. You need to go there. I mean, there are times where you feel like, you could hand off on the sugarcoating. You could have some sugarcoating. You could sugarcoat a message just like, oh, well, grandma's not, Sometimes you could be like, dude, grandma's dead. Get over it. And I feel like this film was like, dude, people suck. That's life. People are assholes, no matter what you think. People can be jerks. I mean, it's not like people are always going to be good. I mean, there are good people with bad sides. I mean, anybody could be an asshole. And that's what this film says, and is not afraid to say that. Wow. I'm sorry. I totally like this film. I mean, at points too, I was like, this is going to be a B rating for me. This is like a B, but then it does something that's just like, wow. You totally went from a B to an A. I mean, I don't think this is a rateable film. I enjoyed it, and I thought it was a well-made film. Mad props. The soundtrack is great. There were moments where I'm like, I want this soundtrack really badly. Really badly. Again, with the voice acting, it's a little mediocre at times. I feel like they could have gotten a better kid to play Norman at times, but at other times I think he pulled it off pretty well. And, so yeah, he can talk to the dead. So, meaning he talked to and as you can see, there are zombies in the film too. And if you've read Arthur Miller's The Crucible, you liked it, and you feel like you probably would want to brush up on it. I think it'd be worth knowing about the moral of that film, of that story, and the McCarthyism. Using fear as a tool to make people do the most despicable things is evident when watching this film. Like, people do some really nasty things in this film. Like, they just retort to things you wouldn't ever expect. I mean, this is not Ralph Boschke, or however you pronounce his name, Ralph Bada Bada Bing Bang, Cool World or anything, but it walks that line. Like, I would have given this film, if I were like, an MPA guy, I would just give this film a PG-13. But not like because I'm just being brass or abrasive or anything. I'm just saying, I feel like though that audience would enjoy this film more than a young kid. Take them to see Ice Age. I don't care. I'm repeating myself right now, but yeah. Long story short, I think you would enjoy Paranorman if you're a guy like me, a little bit older, maybe. I wouldn't take your little kids to see it. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Take care.